also to speak about the industry, especially in the area where we have our expertise. That's the Grand Handling Company, the Vis-a-Vis, the Sky Wave Vision Handling Company, PLC. Yes, for us, 2021 was a year of a lot of how do I put it now? Mixed expectations met. First, 2021 was just the year after which we are coming out from the lockdown, and of course the pandemic was still there, and the industry, as we know, was actually gradually recovering from the impact of the pandemic. And from what you could call recovery, yes, in some aspect of the industry, we we are getting to the end of the year, we got to what we call total recovery. Because, for example, the domestic operation, by the time we are getting to the end of the year, has even exceeded what it was before the lockdown. So we could say that it didn't just recover from that point, but overshot what was expected on the recovery, because lots of new airlines coming, confidence of flying are coming, and new routes were also open within the domestic aviation industry. I can tell you that there were stations that we were not available before. I can say for us as Grand Handling Company, we added about 3 new stations to area of operation within the aviation industry in Nigeria. For example, we started operating in Bayelsa. Of course, the operation in the lorry was totally non-existent, but at least they were able to boost operation there. And of course, we started up. I'm able to say, okay, yes, 3 new areas, but also revival of some stations where we were totally not doing operation. We started operation in Anambra also, and then we started operation in Warri. So those were totally new areas, based operation that we started in the year. And of course, it has to stretch us also, because equipment had to be deployed, manpower had to be deployed, and also there was growth. If you look at the airlines begin to connect, also airports. Well, before now, or we could liken it to what is happening in the country in terms of the insecurity. So many people now want to travel by air. So, and the airlines identify that business link, and they begin to connect airports. And of course, when you talk about airline connected airports, then the Grand Handling Company comes in. And of course, stress so many other things that we have. There was stress on our equipment, there was stress on our manpower, and of course, Grand Handling equipment is not something you just go to the market to pick. Even also, as it was affecting the Nigerian economy, also the places where we collect this Grand Handling Company from, also the speed at even where they used to manufacture also changes also. So you could also see that sometimes you book for equipment, and the equipment will not come as at when expected. So there were delays because the sourcing of spare parts, or what you call parts for the material equipment, was actually slow in coming. Also in those parts of the world, they totally not recover 100% also from the effect of the pandemic. Some of them still work, just like in Nigeria, there are still companies, some people that still work from home. Yes, so you could see that they've not recovered 100%. So it's also also affected the time of us getting equipment. Yes, also in this year we have challenges in sourcing forex. Before the lockdown, you will agree with me that the cost of sourcing in terms of the dollars in Nigeria Then was fluctuating at about 360 naira before the lockdown. Then all of a sudden, by the time we come out of the lockdown, it was talking in the range of so it started going up 400, and I think before, as at the time we went to the end of the year, we had to source rates of almost at about 570. Most of us we get our forex also from sourced from the local market, and so it affected some of the things we do. So even the money that we thought we were getting from some of the things I've talked of recovery, we all plunged into getting equipment to also take care of the expansion that we were doing, and because of course with high rates of inflation affecting most of the things that we do, so possibly the cost that that used to get two equipment before, you are spending it for just one equipment, and so those were all the things that affected us. But for us as a company, we were determined, and we were very ready to ensure that yes, like it said, that's the tough times never last. So as the times get tougher as for us as an organization, because what we had promised our clients to offer service, we needed to be resolute to ensure that we stay in business by ensuring that at least we continue to meet the expectations of our clients in offering the kind of services that they expect. But I can tell you, yes, despite all this that I've said, so far so good. And of course, it was also the year too whereby we had a lot of turbulence in terms of the new rate, because it got to a point that we just knew that if we don't get the approval from the government,
it will be difficult for you to stay afloat. Okay, now sir, let's look at import and export. I don't know if you have statistics available for last year. Like how many? What can you say about exports? Because that is the major concern of stakeholders. That when Nigeria involved in the exportation of goods out of the country, of course it will help to build the economy, not the import per se. So what can you say about exports through your warehouses to other countries?
Yeah.
Do you say it? Will you say it has increased or it has decreased?
Okay. Thank you so much. You are actually very correct, because when you look at the way nations are run, you will agree with me that there must what we call balance in trade. And so when you import, you also have to look at what you have given out, and that is how the world works. When you go to some countries, you will see what is happening in their exports. Even up to recently, I visited some facilities in the UK, and I see what they are doing, where you see individuals having warehouses that are meant for export, and then they collect cargo from all across maybe UK to export to other parts of the world. You see the facilities that they have and what they are doing in that regard. So of course you understand the position of that, bringing money into the economy of the United Kingdom. But here we can't say we understand how we got to where we had been, whereby when you take a tour to the maritime sector, you'll observe that all that the maritime was doing up to a particular point in time was only import. Nothing was happening in the export. In short, there were no export warehouses. And so for us in aviation, it also affected us at the point whereby it's called that even when you are developing warehouses, export was just non-existent. Of course, for a business person, you don't just build things that will not be needed. So you put facilities down based on demand. So it was all about what comes in. Nobody was talking about what goes out. So at the point, the export was just not there. When I mean just not there, it was not existent at all, because nobody was taking anything out. But of course, suddenly I think we begin to see growth in our
Export.
export activities. And I can tell you, if you look at, okay, you just, for example, 2021, I think because most of the time we try to compare the figures. So if I had known that it will require for them, I normally want to have certain things like that on the tip of my finger. But I can assure you that the export is growing.
Okay.
It's growing. That even as I talk to you now, we got to a point whereby we need to expand our export facility, and that's what we are doing. Most of the time, we are trying to put that together to say, okay, what can we do? Where do we rough space from to expand? As I'm talking to you now, that is part of one of the things that we, even up to this year 2022, it's part of what we are looking at, because when you look at the year that had just gone by, so from 2018, we have been at of course, appealing to fan, give us space, we want to expand, because, and of course, they are the landlords of the airport. When they don't give you the space, there's nothing you can do. So we begin to look at our current warehouse. What kind of expansion can we do to accommodate export? Because exports is growing, people are getting aware, and they are going to export. Like you have just said, if we must get forests into the, because into the country, or if anybody that is willing to get foreign exchange, that is the only business you can go to. And as you ship out of this place, and you get paid in forex. So the fact of the matter is that yes, people are getting aware, the export is expanding. There's no doubt that the import is still there. A lot of imports are coming. It's, so you can't compare the level of import to export. But the question you have asked is that, is export what it used to be? No. Is it growing? Yes. And it's a daily thing that you can talk about. So the export is actually growing. There's a lot of improvement in our exports.